Hey friend, we've all heard many a teacher or coach say, practice makes perfect. That's not really how it works, is it? Hi, I'm Kate Lachine. I'm a voice and dialect coach with a passion for health and wellness. You can learn more about me at katelachine.com, and if you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe below. Let's get started. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know I don't love the word perfect. In most cases, perfect is an illusion. And in this case, if it's not to be perfect, then what is the purpose of practice? Well, it's pretty much what you think. We practice a skill to maintain or improve our proficiency with it. So whether it's welding, singing, cake decorating, typing, nobody practices a skill to get worse at it. But that's the thing about practice. The body doesn't distinguish between good practice and bad practice. I used to be a competitive swimmer. I started around 5 years old, and I'd been swimming for a few years when a new coach corrected my freestyle stroke. I had been digging into the water right in front of my face, and while I could move my arms really fast like that, I wasn't pulling nearly the amount of water that a nice long stroke would pull. With practice, my stroke improved and I swam faster with less exertion. Better practice wore a new pathway in my brain that eventually overtook my old, less effective technique. This ability for the brain to create new habits and override old ones is what we now know as neuroplasticity. Now, I was 8 when I changed my freestyle, and according to my mom, it only took about 3 weeks. But I remember my 8-year-old self being really frustrated with how difficult it felt to make that change. Frustration is just one of the reasons people may be resistant to making changes. As adults, we may sometimes even feel it's impossible to change something we've been doing the same way for years. And regardless of our age, our pride can take a hit when we realize we've been doing something wrong or we could be doing it better. Researchers seem to think we do lose some plasticity as we age, but adult brains are fully capable of forming new neurons and neural pathways. So in other words, we can improve or change our habits as adults. It just may take a little longer or maybe be a bit more frustrating than when we were kids. But let this discovery of neuroplasticity encourage you that you don't have to stay stuck in old habits that no longer serve you, and you can continue to improve skills you already have. But first, you have to embrace patience. Practice equals repetition over time. Establishing a new neural pathway doesn't happen overnight, although sleep is a very important part of the process. More on that in another video. Next, remember, your brain doesn't distinguish between good practice and bad practice, so be precise and learn correctly from the start. And if it's a matter of fine motor skills like learning to play an instrument or shaping a vowel while you're doing dialect work, start slowly and only speed up once you've mastered the skill at that tempo. Finally, stop your practice before you get tired and your execution gets sloppy or inaccurate. You want to ingrain the good technique, not the bad. So 10 minutes of precise, accurate practice will be far more valuable than 30 minutes of mediocre practice you slog through just to fulfill your daily quota. Our brains are always responding to external and internal stimuli. Whatever actions we take in response to those stimuli are going to start ingraining those pathways in our brains, good or bad, and they will emerge in our routines, good or bad. So we have to consciously direct our responses over time in order to establish good technique and healthy habits that eventually we won't have to think about. Now, we could amend the original statement to say, perfect practice makes perfect. But even if perfection is measurable for the skill in question, focusing on perfection robs you of the joys of the incremental successes you may have and may even kill your motivation to continue. Better to recognize that practice makes permanent, to be informed and intentional in your practice, and through that practice, continue to strive for excellence.